Hi, everyone. This is Sarah with Connect Our Elders. And today I'm very pleased to have Jen Gaston and Jen Jeffress. Did I say that right, Jen?
Jeffress, yes.
Jeffress with me today. They are the founders of Sorted Out San Diego. And what they offer are practical solutions to your organizing needs. So, can you guys start by telling me the why? How did you come up with this idea? How did you see the need? And why do you want to help people in this way?
Well, we have been working together for years. We met at our child's charter school when they were in preschool, and now they're freshmen and sophomores in high school. So we've been friends for a long time and worked on the PTA there, and knew that we had a really good working relationship. My background is in research and counseling. And so, I've worked a lot on behavioral modification with children and families dealing with autism. And when Jen kind of started this whole thing, let's, start something together. Both knew that organization was something that we were just interested in from the time when I was super young. I loved going in office supply stores. I never worked in an office. I loved going in there and looking at all the different little organizers and that kind of thing. So I was like a kid in a candy store if I ever got to go to Office Depot or Staples or the Container Store. Oh my gosh. So always been, a hobby and interest of mine. And I just really enjoy helping people and getting their lives and their homes and their stuff purged and organized and, in places they can find them to help de-stress them a little bit and reduce the chaos in their household is, something that I'm passionate about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think because we had such a great working relationship over 10, 11 years, and we had organized, stock rooms and bins and closets and PE clothes and you name it, we've organized it. And I've always had a passion for organizing as well. My high school aptitude test said I should be packing trucks. So, apparently those standardized tests actually work. That was something, what I did when I was 17 or whatever. But I've always loved it. And I worked retail for many years, management, working with people, and just those personal interactions. And you realize, to Jen's point too, like how much just the environment that you're in makes such the tone of your day, the tone of your week, how, if your house is in good order when you come home from work, it's calming and serene. And, there's just such a need for that. We live such crazy, hectic lives. We've done a lot of families and, families are busy and now we've got kids at school learning
or at home learning,
right?
Challenges in and of themselves.
Yeah. And so it's just, we've learned over the years that it's just such a valuable thing to have your house in order or your office or your warehouse or whatever. But it just makes such a difference. And we're both very giving people and we thrive on those results and that just loving that we can give that to the community. It's great.
It definitely does make a difference because I see it in myself. Even my productivity level increases drastically if my space is organized and clean. And then you had mentioned, Jen, when you come home from a long day of work and if it's clean, you can just relax, And so I love this combo that you two have with the behavioral health side. And then Jen, I've known you and your husband for years, and I've actually been in your home and it's super well organized and tidy. And so, and I know that you have a lot of office administration experience.
Right.
And so this combo between the two of you guys is the perfect setup for the success of Sorted Out San Diego. So I am beyond excited that you guys are doing this. So let's dive in. For the audience out there, if they're feeling overwhelmed by their clutter, how can they even get started? Because I think overwhelmed, right? That says it right there. They're overwhelmed. And when people are overwhelmed, you're paralyzed. You don't even know the first thing to do. So how can they get started?
You want to go take it?
Okay. If they're feeling overwhelmed, well, the first thing they need to do is just take a deep breath. And that can help calm you down a little bit. And the important thing is to start small. Just pick a very, very small project to start with. Your purse. Your bag that you take everywhere, your car, a small closet, a junk drawer, just take a very small project and making progress on just a tiny, tiny project like that, or maybe a big project, depending on how cluttered your car might be, might take a little longer than you thought, but it's all about progress and not perfection. And there's no one right way to organize. So whatever is working and functional for them is the right way to do it. If it works for them, then that's the right way. So start small and make some time in your day.
Okay. And do you help them? So that's interesting. You said there's no right way. So you're not telling them you have to do it this way. And so I'm curious, Jen J, how does your expertise in behavioral health play into helping them figure out the right way for them?
Right. Well, it's a team effort. It's very collaborative. So we come in being the expert per se, but we're really not the expert in their life and how they live it and what their habits are and what their, sometimes habits need to be tweaked a little bit, in order to maintain your new organization system. You might have to change your habit. Instead of throwing your shoes just wherever, there might be a spot for your shoes now, and you need to actually use that spot. So it's all about creating new habits. And, if it works, if it's rewarding, people will tend to keep doing it. And if they like their new space, then that essentially, if they can see the value in it, they will make a little bit of an extra effort to use those new habits, even if it kind of is different from their former habits. Mm-hmm. And, you can create a new habit if you do it for 28 days or whatever. So, as long as you're consistent for a short period of time, you can develop that new habit and keep it going. And then you see the value of that.
Okay, wonderful. So Jen Gaston, first of all, I cannot believe that your boys are freshmen in high school now.
Yeah, I have a 7th grader and a 9th grader, freshmen. So this is the first year they're at 2 different schools, which is fun and exciting. As brothers, it's good for them. They have some separation amongst friends and whatnot. So yeah.
So you're busy, and that's going to lead me into the next question. You're busy. So what about the people who just feel like they don't have enough time to get organized? But more importantly, if they do get organized, to stay organized?
Absolutely. You've probably heard this natural or this common cliche as time is money, right? Mm-hmm. And that's definitely part of it. The time that Americans spend. Oh, I have some cool quotes here. All right. So the average American wastes 55 minutes a week just looking for stuff, right? Just
that's an hour, almost an hour.
That's an hour. One hour. And that was a poll of like thousands and thousands of East Coasters. I think there were East Coasters, but that doesn't matter. Us Californians, we lose stuff too. And so, I mean, it's just truly amazing. Like the most common things, of course, your wallet, your keys, your purse, the TV remote, probably the most common. Your cell phone, all of those things, like that kind of stuff. But the big thing is, start small, of course. One of our favorite tips is make an appointment with yourself. So Sunday morning, you want to laze around, read the paper, put your feet up, whatever, but maybe you make an appointment at 11 o'clock. You're going to spend an hour in your kitchen or a half an hour in your hall closet or whatever that space is. But if you don't intentionally make that decision to do it and kind of schedule that time with yourself or schedule that time with your son or your family members or whatever,
put it on the calendar.
Put it on the calendar. Like make an appointment with yourself. And that's a key thing. A lot of our clients, when we come in, we give them homework, but you can also give yourself homework. You're like, okay, I have these 5 spaces that are just overwhelming for me right now. If I tackle them in little pieces, then it just makes a larger impact. And
the whole thing of how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Thing.
Do it all at once.
I like this whole concept of make an appointment with yourself because it's the same thing that you hear people when they say, oh, I don't have time for the gym, right? Or I can't, I got to get the discipline back. Well, you make an appointment and you keep it with yourself. And so that I've not heard. So I've obviously interviewed some other people, my friend out here in Tennessee, but that's really interesting, that bit of information. Make it like any other task that you have, any other work task, right? Make an appointment with yourself.
Exactly.
That's great advice.
Just like going to the grocery store, usually people have their habits and they go Sunday morning or they go Tuesday afternoon or whatever. And you can literally do that every week and just be like, okay, Friday morning, I'm going to spend an extra 10 minutes and just make sure the kitchen is spick and span. And Tuesday morning, I'm going to always make sure that my bedroom looks really good or whatever.
I have found that when I started working with a client and we've worked on 1 or 2 small projects in their home, I'll get pictures sent. Hey, look, I organized my junk drawer. Hey, look, I organized my bathroom cabinet. And I had nothing to do with it. But once they see the process and how rewarding it can be and how much better it can make them feel in their space, then it's kind of a self-motivating and self-fulfilling kind of cycle.
And how much time you're saving.
It seems to me that something, when people think about, oh, I have to do this, they feel stress over having to do it. But once they do it, it's such a huge stress reliever,
Right.
And so you could almost start getting addicted to being organized.
Right.
Yeah, people do. It's true. It's a problem.
I recently redesigned my kitchen and I keep moving things around because I'm not exactly happy with what they are. And my kids and my husband are like, where's this now? Kind of thing. So
you're like, I found a better spot. Okay, so this is one for me specifically too. So my closet is overflowing. I mean, I just stuff everything super close, and it's a behavioral thing. I grew up pretty poor, didn't have a lot of clothes, and so it's almost like, as now that I can buy clothes when I want clothes, I just amass a lot of clothes, not necessarily all expensive, right? I love thrift stores, but it's almost like I just like looking at all of them. And I have these clothes that I haven't worn in 19 years, but I cannot let go of them. So it's, I'm sure it's a multifaceted issue, but so let's say I'm just not going to let go of these clothes, right? How can I make more room for myself in my closet?
Well, I'll go. I do a lot of closets. Closets are my thing. Well, I'll tell you, you're not alone.
Right.
1 out of 4 women basically says they have super disorganized closets and they have too much stuff. I think those statistics are absolutely wrong. I think it's probably
More.
3 out of 4. But those are the statistics that we found that was actually, set in stone. One of our favorite tips is like seasonal purging, right? So when the bikinis come out and the beach towels and the flip-flops, although here in California, we wear flip-flops all the time. But or when the sweaters and, when the weather changes and your wardrobe changes, you got to get rid of that stuff. Get it out of your closet. You don't need a cashmere coat taking up a ton of space in your closet. So pack those things away, stick them under the bed, stick them up high in a closet, stick them in the garage in something that's weatherproof, humidity proof. It's nice to get that stuff out so you can spread out your sundresses and your shorts and all the other things that are seasonal items. So that's a great one.
To rotate
Your wardrobes. Yeah. The other thing is to, purge. We always say, pull everything out and take a look at what you have.
Pile it all on the bed.
Take a look at what you have. Is stuff missing buttons? Do you have broken zippers? Does it fit? Is it still stylish? Is it still, faded? Is it, all of those kind of things. Are all of your clothes in good condition? And if they're in good condition, good enough to donate them. Let somebody else have them, right? If they're not in good condition, there is a bunch of recycling services that will actually recycle cloth. Instead of putting it in the landfill, we're big proponents of eco-friendly stuff. That's a great option.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a couple logistical things that you can do in your closet. You can double hang. You can use vertical space. You can add hooks. And, the Container Store and Bed Bath & Beyond, all those great places, they have all kinds of cool things that you can stack up pants or, rotate or have a circle thing for all your ties in. There's a lot of different neat closet organizing things that help. One of my other favorite things for maximizing spaces in the closet is to use those thin velvet hangers. And if you
Mm.
don't have them, they're totally worth the investment because they hang everything up. They're great for men's sizes and women's sizes. And they really hang on to your clothes, and they're super low profile. And so everything can kind of mash together a little bit tighter. So you kind of maximizes the space.
And that's not
Great.
a specialty item. You can get those at Costco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Places like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Amazon sells like a 100 pack for like $40 or something like that. There's a lot of good resources out there for those.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to buy those today because
Yeah.
my husband and I are sharing closet space, and we need the low profile hangers because it's like everything's packed in there like sardines. So
Yeah.
you try to get off one item, but because it's so tight, it pulls off the item next to it, right?
Right, right. And that's probably has a little bit of malfunction of a bunch of different hangers too. Yeah. And you can get them with the little pitchy things for skirts and shorts and stuff like that too.
Okay. Great to know. What about, so you talked about, doing the seasonal rotation and then just completely purging, getting rid of the stuff that doesn't fit or isn't in good condition.
Or you don't like it.
What's the whole thing if you have something and you haven't worn it in 2 years or, however long?
So typically there's a 1-year rule if you really do seasonal clothing. I usually push the 6-month rule if you're here in Southern California, unless it's a sweater or something that you're only going to wear annually. It's really a 1-year rule. If you haven't worn it in a year, then you don't love it and you don't need it and you don't want it, or it doesn't fit, or every time you put it on, you're like, this is frumpy, this is too big, this is too small, whatever, right? So it's basically a 1-year rule. One of our other favorite rules is the 1 in, 1 out rule. So, you buy a new blouse and you're like, okay, I'm going to get rid of one that I already have that I don't love anymore, or that it's not in good condition anymore.
Okay.
That's a great one, the 1 in, 1 out rule. And that applies to everything, the carrot peelers, your kids' clothing, your kids' toys. Tupperware,
Right.
all of that stuff. The 1 in, 1 out rule. Because typically we all kind of function with the same number of stuff until we've lived in a space for a long time. And then we have too much of all of those duplicate things. So keep the stuff you have.
And
Exactly.
sometimes,
Such as, why did I need 5 shower curtains, right? If I got a new one, I probably didn't need to keep the other 4. So 1 in, 1 out rule. I like that. This is actual, actionable advice that people can start implementing right now. Okay. So next question. Should I go out and buy all new bins and containers if I want to get organized? Because this is a great question. Because when I have gotten really excited about organizing, I already had some bins, but I felt like I needed to get new ones that all matched and looked pretty and whatnot. So if somebody's ready to organize, do they need to go out and buy all new bins and containers?
So if they want to get organized, that is not the first step. Julie Morgenstern has an acronym. It's called SPACE, and SPACE, SPACE. S is for sort. So you have to pull everything out of whatever you're organizing, your closet, and then you're going to purge. You're going to throw away the broken things, the things you don't use anymore, the things that you don't want anymore. You're going to purge. Then you're going to assign a home. So A. And that is when you're assigning the homes for those items, you will know what you have left to deal with and what you need to put back on the shelves or back in the drawers, or so then you can measure your space. It does help to have bins that can be stacked depending on what you're organizing, and ones that are similar sizes kind of thing. But you can also use containers maybe you already have. So after you've sorted and you've purged and you know what you're dealing with, look at the containers you have. They might work, or you might need to go out and buy a few items like that. And then C is the containerize. So you put those in the containers, and then E is equalize, which it's maintaining it. So when you sweaters out, you put them back in the home that you've assigned them, so that next time you need to find a sweater, you know where the sweaters are, kind of thing.
Okay, that's common sense, and because how do you know
science? That's true.
How do you know how many containers or what size containers or anything until you do that upfront work to know what you're keeping, right? And And it's so funny to hear you say that, because I mean, I consider myself a pretty smart person, but I have done it all the time. I mean, multiple times throughout my life, where I go buy all the containers before I even start the process of deciding what I'm keeping. So that's a great reminder. So the acronym is SPACE.
Space.
Space. Awesome. What are some easy ways? So if anybody's listening right now and they are feeling really motivated all of a sudden that they want to get organized, what are some easy ways for them to get started, aside from hiring you guys, right?
Right. Well, you hire us if you're stuck, and you hire us if you're overwhelmed. You hire us if you have way too much stuff and you don't know where to start. Or it's a big project, like you're downsizing from a large home to a small home, or a large home to, single family dwelling, or retirement home, or, any of those kind of things, tends to be overwhelming.
And sometimes people have a hard time just doing it themselves, but if they have them to consult with them and to talk with them and hold their hand through the process, it can be a little less emotionally taxing for them. It might be difficult at times, but to have someone else there kind of helping support and guide, kind of get them through that process.
Right.
Which would be particularly helpful with our elders in San Diego, right? Because, a good percentage of them don't stay home with caregiving. I mean, there is the option of moving into independent living, assisted living, or whatever the care need might be. And of course, they hire movers if they're leaving their home to move the stuff or move them, but you still have to do the process of sorting through everything and deciding what to keep and what not. And so I can definitely see where you guys would be a key piece in making that whole transition happen. So for anybody in the audience listening, especially from my healthcare industry network, definitely remember Sort It Out San Diego for your elder care clients. So back to, what are some easy ways for someone to get started?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to some of our other tips. Start small, make an appointment with yourself. The other thing we like to do is, get somebody else involved, get a best friend, get a family member, get a son, a daughter, somebody else, and be like, okay, can you help me? So if you have the support that you're like, I need to clean out this closet, I'm totally overwhelmed. Come on, grandson, help me clean out this closet, right? And so it gives some accountability. It makes it more fun when you're doing it with somebody else. That's a good one. I
love the connection too. So a thought just came to mind is that, our elders really need more connection. And so if they can involve their adult children or the grandchildren would be great, right? If they have a closet or they're trying to organize their home. I'm gonna have to make a social media post about that, you guys. Thanks. I'll be sure to plug you in it. But yeah, so organizing can become a psychosocial activity for our elders to really engage with their children. Because imagine the stories that they'll be able to tell about whatever various items that they find. That's a great exercise. Okay, so what are some other tips? I know that we've gone over some, but I think you guys have something called 10 tips to getting organized. And I'm sure we covered some of them, but what are the ones that we have left out?
The systems.
Well, one tip that was very handy in just dealing with day-to-day life, because most every day in COVID times, it's a little bit different. We're going out, we're going shopping, we're doing some errands, we're, doing some social distancing, maybe in a park somewhere, hopefully, going for a walk or whatever. Create systems for leaving the house and coming back. So your entryway should have a place for your keys and your purse to hang, or, and a place for your shoes, so that when you come, you can put those things there. And then later, when you're rushing out of the house and you're pressed for time, possibly, everything's right there where you brought it and put it. So creating habits and systems for whatever works for you. Different strokes for different folks. So, hanging keys by the door might not work for someone, but at least you have a home for those keys somewhere. So you put the keys where they go. Let's see.
I'll talk about that one.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we always are astonished when we come into people's homes and they have everything at like eye level or below. And we forget that our homes have 8-foot ceilings and 10-foot ceilings. And we have all of this unutilized space up high. For elders, that's a little bit different because we wanted to make
Right.
sure it's in a safe place.
Right.
Right.
But still using that vertical space and keeping things that maybe you don't use that often way up high, or even down under a bed for seasonal clothing or, keepsakes or anything like that, that people forget to use that higher up space, and walls, shelves for books and lots of things like that. You can get that stuff off the floor and free up that space and free up that mind clutter when you just have so much. And it really makes a difference. In a closet, you can put a tall vertical shelf or whatever, but vertical space is always underutilized, and people who don't see it and they don't feel it. And so it really makes a difference when you start realizing how much space, if you feel overwhelmed by having not enough space, but when you really dig around,
you might have more than you think.
You realize that they can optimize their space better. And I loved what you said, Jen, about how actual physical clutter turns into mind clutter, because it does. I mean, even if you're not really necessarily thinking about all that stuff, but I can only speak really for myself, but I cannot focus if my workspace is not organized. And
Correct.
So that is what I consider mind clutter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and there's the 80-20 rule. So we really only use about 20% of the stuff we have. We heavily use 20% of the stuff.
Seriously?
20%. Yes.
Holy.
So if you think that way, if you actually, you could test it if you wanted to go in your closet and pick out the things that you wear most of the time and put them in a pile and then compare it to the rest of the items in your closet. Is it about 20%?
Probably.
It's probably about that.
I know my dishes. I have a fetish with dishes. I really like to entertain, and I have hundreds of cups and hundreds of plates. And every once in a while, we do use all 100. But yeah, I'm sure I easily use probably 10% of all of the dishes that I have in my house. Right. Yeah, I recognize. As a professional organizer, I recognize my disorder.
That's the first step, right?
Right.
But I would imagine that there's also situations where, maybe you are only using 10%, but you do have those occasions where you use it. And so I think that, there are situations where we have to be gentle with ourselves also, meaning, we're not going to be able to be perfect at organizing everything, or you don't have to be, is the point, you can give yourself some leeway.
Absolutely. Well, and you always have those items like Christmas, or Hanukkah or whatever. Those are decorations and things that you only pull out once a year. So I have one more tip.
Go for it.
I think most of the rest of our top 10 that we've talked about. So the things that you use most frequently should be in. Go ahead, Sarah. Finish my sentence.
The things that you use most frequently should be easy to find.
Right.
Well,
easy to find and within easy reach. Right. So prime real estate. Right. So if your oven is right there and you need a pot holder, it should be really nearby. Right. Because once you open the oven, it's 400 degrees. You need to grab that pot holder and get out the brisket or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Same to Jem's point with the in and out, like when you're coming in and out of your home, your keys, your purse, all of those things should be within an easy reach. If you take vitamins every morning, you take them every morning. They shouldn't be up on a high shelf. They should be down low and in sight, maybe, or in a pantry or a cupboard that that you use frequently. So all of the things that you use frequently should be nearby.
So it's creating efficiencies. You guys are talking about creating efficiencies within this practical organizing process.
Absolutely. Right. I laughed back in my, office days. You would have the secretaries that would have everything on their desk: the 3-hole punch, the 2-hole punch, the 1-hole punch, the super stapler, the medium stapler, the stapler. And in the law office, we used to have all of those things, right? And then finally, it was kind of like, guys, all of this stuff can go in the copy room. Like, you don't need all this stuff on your desk. You use your, what do you use regularly? That's what you need.
Right.
The paper clips shouldn't be in the bottom drawer if you use them every day. That makes no sense. So simple things that not everybody, it's not intuitive to everybody. Some of us, yes, but not everybody.
Well, that's good that there's people like you guys to help people.
Yeah.
So how can people contact you if they're interested in, do you guys do a consultation, or what does the process look like if somebody would like to learn more about your services and engage your services?
So we have a website, sortedoutsd.com. There's a contact form through that website. There's also our Instagram, our Facebook links there. They can message us through either one of those platforms. There's a phone number. They can just pick it up and call us. We will answer the phone. Or if not, we'll return their call within 24 hours. And the process is we first do a little bit of an intake over the phone to make sure that we're, that what their needs are. We want to talk about what their goals are, what their needs might be, what their situation is, and then how can we help them? And if for whatever reason that we might find that their needs don't fit what we're, able to do and was in our scope of work, we will refer them to someone who's qualified to help them, because we want to help everyone who reaches out to us.
Yeah.
So after we have our about, 20 to 30 minute kind of conversation about finding out what their needs are, we'll we'll schedule a consultation where we'll just come out to their home for about an hour, take a tour, see what's happening. We're always very conscious about, these times, and we'll wear masks and take off, and we take our temperature before we enter people's homes. So we're very conscious, and we want to, of course, keep people safe. And after we do that, our consultation, we find out exactly what their, needs are, take a tour of their home, whatever spaces they need to get organized. And then we will, we have an agreement where we explain, the process of organizing and kind of what to expect, so that they know kind of the process and know what's coming down the road. And then we'll schedule some appointments. And usually we work with our clients for about a 3 to 4 hour session. Now, if, someone is not able to do that long amount of time, because it can get, overwhelming.
Yeah.
Decision fatigue, depending on if you're getting rid of a lot of items. So, we tailor, our services to what our clients need. So, but that's cool.
And I would, I could be wrong, but so when you guys get somebody organized, right, do you offer some sort of service to help them maintain it, right? Because maybe it's going to take them a while for the behavior modification, and so they will need the ongoing support of you guys. Are there packages, or do you just keep scheduling meetings with them?
We can schedule meetings. We can schedule time, virtually, or if they need to just check in with a text, that kind of thing. We definitely will provide ongoing support. And backsliding or regression is completely normal, and it happens, and sometimes the systems that we might create with them initially, maybe after 6 months, they realize they need a little tweaking, and either they can tweak them themselves, or if not, they need a little help tweaking them, they can definitely reach out to us again. But we're definitely there to help maintain those systems and make sure it's working for them.
Great. So we have a comment from a wonderful young lady that I actually deployed with. She said, "Love this, Sergeant." So she's great. She kind of went through a whole, what do you call it when the caterpillar turns into the butterfly?
Metamorphosis.
Yeah. Metamorphosis. Yeah. And she kind of just remade her whole life, and so she's a big advocate for simplicity, right? So that way you can really focus on the things that matter. And so to tie that into getting organized, right, if you start purging, and then it probably would even change your purchasing habits too, because it would cause you to take a second guess and think, do I really need this? Is it really important to me? Is it serving my ultimate goals? So thank you. Her name's Kimberly. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, people can reach you at www.sortedoutsd.com, or just
sortedoutsd.com.
Okay, so for everybody watching, that's www.sortedoutsd.com. And then all of the contact information is on the website, but I will go ahead and actually put this online as well. Oh, we have another comment, ladies. Thanks for the tips. Organization seems like such a huge task, but it brings a sense of peace and allows our creative energy to flow. And that's from a good friend of mine, Infinity Dawn.
Nice.
So absolutely. So for any of you guys out there listening, or when you see the video later, if you are feeling overwhelmed, it's at least worth a call to sortitoutsandiego.com. Once again, I am Sarah with Connect Our Elders. Connect Our Elders is all about providing educational resources to our elders, navigation through those resources, and ongoing advocacy. So thanks again to Jen Gaston and Jen Jeffress today for joining us on the podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
Sarah.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.